Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. We all know what it says in Hilchos Shabbos in Siman Reish Ayin Aleph, Seif Yud. The Mechaber says, Shetzarich lechasos hasapas b'shas kiddush. That when you are making kiddush and you're using a becher of wine to make kiddush, that's the wine time. So during that period of time, you should cover the challa. That's what the halacha says. So it's brought, two reasons are brought for why we cover the challah. One reason is from the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says, Shelo yira hapas bushtoi, that we don't want to allow the bread to get embarrassed. It shouldn't be embarrassed. How is bread becoming embarrassed? Because since you are able to make kiddush on pas, also on bread, and you're setting it aside, and you're doing kiddush on wine, it's like pushing it aside. It's going to get hurt. You don't want to hurt its feelings. And therefore we cover the bread, which is a tremendous lesson. If we have to be careful from a piece of bread not to hurt its feelings, how much more so you have to care about another fellow human. Anyways, so the Yerushalmi says not to hurt the feelings of the bread that you're pushing it aside, you cover it. The Tur brings another reason, and that is, as the Torah says, Zeicher Leman. One of the reasons we have Lechem Mishnah is because on Friday, Lechem Mishnah fell from the Mun. So if we are commemorating the Mun, why not also add another Zikaron, that by the Mun, the Pasuk says, that when the Mun fell, when you saw the Mun, there was a covering from the bottom, there was a covering on top. So to commemorate that, cover the challah. So we have two reasons why we cover the challah during Kiddush. Beautiful. Here comes a debate that we have in today's Achreinim. And that is, when you choose to cover the challah, because you're keeping the Shulchan Aruch, would it be allowed to cover it with a see-through plastic? Because if you're covering it with a see-through plastic, if you're thinking about being able to see through, if it's really literally that the challah shouldn't be able to challah shouldn't see the wine when it's a clear plastic, even as nice as it looks, maybe there's something to worry about. So obviously it will depend on the two reasons. If the reason is Zeicher Leman, how the mun fell, actually Chazal tell us that the covering on the mun was actually see-through. But if we're concerned about being disappointed, the bread being hurt, that you're pushing it aside, how would a see-through thing help? So this is the debate. So amongst today's poskim, we find like this. We find Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach brought in Shmir Shabbos Kol Chasa, and some other poskim say that even a see-through covering would be fine as long as you're covering it. And what may be the reason? Because halachically, a see-through item makes, let's say in the case where you need a mechitza, if it's not a question not to be able to see through, like by davening, you know that it's to make sure that the men have kavanah and they're not able to be interrupted by the women in the women's shul. So over there we need a mechitza, and we need the mechitza not to be see-through. But if you need a situation, a halachic situation where you need to be a divider, so anything could serve as a divider, even if it's see-through. We see that in many cases of halacha. Another reason is we find, and this would be very applicable, because a lot of the challahs that when we buy a challah in the store, you have it they don't give it to you open, they give it to you in a bag, in a plastic bag. So if the plastic bag is considered on its own, so from one hand it's covered, but from the other hand it's see-through, would it be important to open, because the halacha says from one hand that when you make a bracha on food, the food has to be ready to be eaten right away, right after the bracha. The fact that it's in a plastic bag, should you take it out before you make Lechem Mishnah, before you make the bracha or not? And the fact that it's in a plastic bag, does it help? It's covered. Does it help legabe the inyan of a shalayira pas bushtoi, where over here it's anyway see-through? And the obvious difference may be, when you're talking about humans, obviously you could see that a separation like this wouldn't count for anything. Ultimately, we're talking about a piece of bread. The piece of bread is not becoming embarrassed like humans becoming embarrassed. Just by the very fact that you're doing an act to show, listen, you will have your time. Even if it's see-through, just that you showed compassion, you showed concern for the bread, that alone calms the bread down. So that therefore the poskim say, Beles Breira, at least Beles Breira, obviously to have it covered would have all the reasons covered. But if you have no other cover, but you have a plastic bag, a plastic cover, it would be good enough as the kisui for the Lechem Mishnah.